If you could bring up the agenda, please.
Mm-hmm. Can you see it?
Yeah, can you bring it down a little bit more? No, go the other way.
Oh, sorry. No?
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is, I believe, 7 o'clock. Yep, 7 on the nose. Go ahead and get started. Today is December 14th, I do believe. Time is 7 p.m. We are now in open session for our regular town meeting for the town of Cottage City. We will start off with doing our roll call.
Ward 1 Commissioner present.
Ward 2,
Ward 2, Commissioner Amashe.
Ward 3, Commissioner Wheatley is present. Ward 4,
Commissioner Givens present.
Commissioner at Large.
Commissioner Uri is present.
Thank you. All 5 commissioners are present and accounted for. Next on our agenda will be approving our minutes and our financials for November. I sent my corrections in to Brittany last, Monday, I think it was, Monday or Tuesday.
Mhm,
And then I had some more corrections today that I sent to Carol
mhm.
that she's gonna read into the record.
Do you want me to do the minutes first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Also, I sent in an addition, which I think you got as well.
Bear with me. Okay, the following changes to the minutes were from Commissioner Wheatley to amend the minutes to correct her Ward 3 report to state Commissioner Wheatley stated that the town sent a letter of support for the walkable watershed grant, which was requested by Michelle Kokolis from the Neighborhood Finance Center. Ms. Kokolis has requested another letter of support for the same grant. The other correction is to add the following from Commissioner Wheatley. Commissioner Wheatley asked the commission for consensus to allow her to approve letters or matters that the commission has previously agreed upon. The commission agreed. And also to add the adjournment time, the meeting adjourned at 11:49 p.m. Okay, and Commissioner Young has a change in the section about trauma kits to add the language. Commissioner Young agreed, provided that in addition to obtaining the trauma kits, we also advocate for stricter gun restrictions to prevent such shootings in the first place.
Were there any other edits?
Not that I've received. The other edits had already been done.
I'm
Okay.
asking
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
commissioners, that's okay. I'm asking the 3 remaining commissioners if you have any other edits.
No edits from me, thank you.
Same.
Commissioner Givens?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, and also, we also need to approve the October minutes because there were several edits that didn't make it in during the meeting. And I'm hoping those edits were made. So we can approve those minutes as well. So we actually have 3 sets of minutes to approve. We have the October work session and regular town meeting minutes. We have the November 9th town hall meeting minutes. Where are the November work session minutes? Shouldn't they be a part of the approval?
Yes, hold on. Yeah, open them. Bear with me.
Did we cancel the work session in November?
Did we?
I can't remember. Trying to think, did we?
I think we did.
Well, that
I
would
think we-
explain. Was it because of the election? Something was happening on the day we were supposed to do the work session. Can't remember what it was. Does anyone remember if we canceled the work session minutes? I mean, meeting? For November?
I remember having a work session.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking back. Notes.
I don't recall that we canceled it.
Okay, so then we should have some minutes somewhere.
Well, I don't have those with me, so we will have to postpone that. I didn't catch that earlier.
As far as my calendar says, the November work session took place on November 1st.
Yeah, I see that now. So that was an oversight, so we need the November 1st minutes.
Guess we'll have to approve those in January since we don't have them tonight.
No, we definitely had the meeting. I remember now.
Okay. So Carol, can you get with Brittany to get those minutes for us for January?
Yes,
Thank you. So we'll be approving the work session for October and the town meeting for October. We'll be approving just the November town meeting for now and the December work session for now. And we'll have to come back in January to approve the work session minutes for the month of November 2022. So let's move on to the financials for November. I know there was one correction I had noticed. Excuse me?
Did you guys had the work session meeting minutes on last month's meeting?
Last month's meeting?
Yes.
oh, okay.
Is that the month where we had got the November minutes early or something?
Yes, he is correct,
Okay. So then we don't have to come back for those.
correct.
Okay. Did you get the correction for the financials? Did Todd get that updated? In regards to Hispanic Heritage Month, the expenditure, it wasn't showing.
No, that is not reflected on this.
Is he going to update it?
Yes,
Do you know how much was spent?
well, that's what I have to verify.
So he didn't even give you a number?
No, I want to double check with, I gotta go into Ticketmaster and look at the amount and verify how much was paid before I talk to him. Because it's not just the amount of the ticket and there was a fee and everything. So I just want to make sure I have my numbers right before I speak to him.
Okay, so that's a correction that needs to be made.
Yes.
Trying to see what line item that was. Was it 5135? Like it was. What's that number?
Hey, this is Todd. Should it be 515014 Hispanic Heritage Month?
5114,
515014
5150.
dot 14.
Okay, I see it. You have it on the screen, Carol?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who are looking at their screen, and it's 5150.14. We budgeted $800 for that line item. But right now, currently, the expenditure is not showing, so that will need to be added at some point. Once, I guess, Carol, you get the actual amount.
Okay.
That was the only edit I caught. Did anyone else have any questions, edits, or comments in regards to the financials for November?
No, thank you.
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Young and Givens?
Give us no.
Commissioner Young?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, so Carol, can you and Todd just make sure that expenditure gets added?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so if there are no other corrections to the monthly report for November, and there are no other edits or comments for the minutes that we have in front of us tonight, is there a motion to approve said documents?
So moved as read.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been properly motioned by Commissioner Givens and seconded by Commissioner Armache. All in favor, please.
Isn't there gonna, excuse me,
Excuse me.
isn't there gonna be a change to come in the financial for the Hispanic Heritage Month?
I believe I just read that into the record, Commissioner Young.
I'm sorry. I must have just not paid attention during that time. Thank you.
It's okay.
So
Happens to the best of us. But yes, it's been recorded, and Miss Carol and Todd are gonna work on getting that corrected. Again, it's been properly motioned by Commissioner Givens, second by Commissioner Armache. Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Givens,
I
aye.
Young.
Marche,
Fury,
aye.
aye.
Wheatley, aye. Hearing no nays or abstentions, the financials for October, November, and the work session minutes for December have been approved with the edits as mentioned by the town manager tonight. And the financials for November have been approved with the understanding that the expenditure for Hispanic Heritage Month will be corrected or updated, I should say. So all documents have been approved. We can move on. Next is the contract renewal for the Alta CPA, which is our treasurer. And it looks like we have that up on the screen. I believe we discussed this last week in the work session. Can you scroll down to the amount? I believe it was 2,000 a month, but I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I see it says fees are 2,000 monthly based on 18 hours at our discounted billing rate. Okay, so the total for the full contract for 1 year, I believe, is 24,000.
Correct.
All right. So if there is no further discussion, are we ready to approve the contract with our current treasurer?
So moved, Commissioner Young.
Well, I was asking if we're ready to take make the motion or take the vote. So since no one's commenting, I'm just gonna go with Commissioner Young, who made the motion to approve the contract. Is there a second?
Second,
I believe that was Commissioner Armache. Motion was made by Young, seconded by Armache. Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Gibbons, aye.
Young, aye.
aye.
Wheatley, aye. Hearing no abstentions or nays, the motion passes. So, Ms. Carroll, if you can get that set up for us to sign, I guess I'll have to sign that contract.
Okay.
All right, moving on under financials while we still have the treasurer here. Resolution 2022-14, ARPA Public Works Bobcat. So the resolution is in front of us.
Well, let me go. Stay there. So the purpose, I'm sorry, you want me to go ahead?
Please.
Okay, so the purpose of this resolution is to amend the budget to include the Bobcat, the ARPA expenditure for the Bobcat in the 2023 budget. It was originally budgeted for the previous fiscal year, but it was not paid during that fiscal year. Therefore, we need to amend the budget to include it in the FY 2023 budget. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Oh.
I'm here.
Like my screen went blank, so I got scared. Okay.
No, we can hear you. So, you explained what happened with the
invoice, we got the invoice, but it was not entered into, the invoice was mailed in June, but it was not entered into our system for payment until September. So our fiscal year ended on June 30th. So therefore, that is why it didn't get paid during the FY 2022 fiscal year.
and that's why we're doing this resolution now to correct that.
Yes.
Okay, are there any questions for Carol? Okay, hearing none, you can continue. Todd communicated with the county to let them know that what we had included on our previous budget for the equipment for public works was not expended, but will be expended in 2023, so that they, just as a matter of full transparency. So they indicated to us per this letter that we had already gotten a 100% tax differential credit for FY 2022. So therefore it can't be applied to 2023. And the way you explained it to me earlier was that this will not affect us in any way?
No, when we have to give them the information for the tax differential and we get credit for our expenditures, we had already given it to them for 2022. So they've already given us the credit for it. So, but it's just reflected for 2022.
And what does the credit mean?
Well, the tax differential has to do with, it determines the amount of taxes you're going to pay, but we report to the county certain services that we provide to our citizens that they don't have to provide, thereby lowering our taxes. For example, we have full responsibility for maintenance of our streets. The county doesn't have to do that. So therefore, we don't have to pay them taxes for that, whereas another municipality may have to. So it's a number of different things. One of them is public works equipments, but it's a litany of things that determines the tax differential. So this equipment was one of public works equipment is one of those things.
Okay, and so we've already got the credit for 2022, fiscal year 2022. So
Correct.
we can't get it again for fiscal year 2023. And basically, that's what this letter was saying.
Yes.
Okay, so it's
That's correct.
not really a negative for us.
No.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions for Carol? Or Todd?
Question?
Yes. Did someone say they had a question?
No, I said no question.
Oh, no question. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Best.
This is for Todd. Todd, if we're on a modified accrual basis of accounting and the invoice was generated before the end of fiscal year, why wasn't this expenditure counted in the 22 budget?
We didn't see the expense and the details of the invoice until the audit had been wrapped up
All
for
right, yeah.
22.
Okay, thank you.
So in a perfect world, if we had more time, we would have accrued it, but since the audit was done, we have to bring the expense through the fiscal year 23 budget.
Are there any other questions in regards to this matter in the resolution? Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 2022-14? Oh, let me read it first so it can go on the record. Make my screen a little bigger so I can see it. Okay. The Town of Cottage City Resolution 2022-14. A resolution concerning the Cottage City ARPA funding received for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. Whereas the town's charter requires no public money may be expended without having been appropriated by the commission. Any transfer of funds between major appropriations for different purposes must be approved by the commission before becoming effective. Okay, let's see. The act,
Yeah, that'll
What?
have to be corrected.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, why does this say acting town manager?
Mhm.
Is this the same one from last year? Is that what it is?
Well, the format is typically the same when we do the ARPA allocations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if you could just make that correction, take out acting and put the town manager and commission have discussed and agreed on specific uses of the ARPA funding for fiscal year 2023. And be it further ordained that this resolution shall further amend the fiscal year 22/23 budget to reflect the following changes. Fiscal year 23 budget line 6604, new public works equipment, increased by $57,105.17. Budget line 6054, ARPA grant expense, decreased by $57,105.17. Funds allocated for the purpose of equipment, Public Works Bobcat. So that's the resolution. We need to vote on it. So is there a motion to vote on resolution 2022-14?
So moved as read.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Armache. Call for the votes.
Givens,
All-
aye.
Okay, all in favor, aye. We have Commissioner Givens,
Fury, I.
Yuri,
Shay,
aye.
aye.
Young,
Commissioner-
I.
Thanks. Commissioner Wheatley, also aye. Hearing no nays or abstentions, the resolution passes. All right, we can move on to the next item. Okay. Public comments. Are there any public comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move to the next item, which will be the code enforcement update for the month of November. Will that be Mr. Redding or the chief who will be giving that report?
I give the report real quick.
Thank you.
All right. As of month of November, he issued two citations, warning citations in reference to weeds and grass. Open storage, he had 3 issues with warning notices sent out. Junk vehicles, he has 6. Those are junk vehicles on properties, private property. Parking on unpaved, he had 3. All properties have been issued warning notices. 2 trees in the town have been falling onto individuals' properties, and the individuals were made aware that they had to find ways to remove the fallen trees off their property. And I believe there's some more. Ongoing, CSX has been contacted regarding the few trees that are on properties that have fallen onto residential properties and stored. I guess 1 shed and a fence. That's been taken care of. Well, actually, the owner of the property is still trying to with CSX, and both of them they're missing each other. I guess CSX been calling her, and I've been calling her too. And you know, I think we resolved the matter the other day when I gave her a direct number to CSX to take care of her property. She had damage to her fence. So hopefully that'll be taken care of by next week. The other property, a check was sent out to the homeowner for the tree to be removed off his fence. So I believe he's gonna get the work done this week or next week. He also contacted Prince George's County Animal Services and set up a community meeting to educate the residents on recent ordinance changes, requirements, the do's and don'ts, answer questions the residents may have in reference to animal control issues. We are still having problems with the gray, I guess a husky keeps on getting out. I did speak to the homeowner there, as well as animal control sent a letter to them in reference to securing their fence so the dog won't get out again. I think they gave him the final warning. I could check on that when I call tomorrow. I think he'll give him a final warning. After that, the dog will be, I guess he'll be issued a citation from animal control. And I think that's it.
Okay, thanks, Chief. I know that husky, he loves coming over here in the townhouses. I
Yes,
don't know if he
ma'am.
has a little girlfriend over here or what.
Yeah,
He loves coming over here.
he's not an aggressive dog, but it's the point where he has to control that dog, keep it in the fence.
No, he's not aggressive. He's big.
Yeah.
He's a big dog.
So,
And, you know, for those who aren't like myself, a little bit afraid. All right, next on the agenda is, oh, were there any questions for the chief in regards to code? To any of the violations or warnings that were given out for the month of November? All right, hearing no questions for the chief, we'll move on. Next is old business, which is the speed camera sites. Are you gonna take that one, Carol?
I can, or Mr. Best can, or jump in. Mr. Best, how do you want to do it? Okay, so we have decided to contract with Red Speed for speed cameras, and we, under the advice of our council, we've identified the areas where the speed cameras should be located. And on the map on the screen is what has been identified as the areas. In addition to that, during the discussion, although it's not marked on here, is along 38th Street that has apartments and residences as well. Let me see, I think I got a map that may be a little clearer that kind of shows you like the street names. Same map, same area, it's just different format. Okay. So our council has drafted a letter to Red Speed, basically to reflect the understandings we have regarding the placement of the cameras, also to reflect, to address the issue of a camera that has already been placed in an area that our council has deemed is not within the, how can I put it, the, doesn't comport with the requirements of the law. So therefore, we have had agreed to, out of the proceeds we will receive, pay the $30,000 that has been committed for the placement of that camera, or that camera that was erected, and only that camera. And the payments will come from camera revenues once the program begins.
Are there any questions?
Bless you.
Hearing no questions, do you know when or where they plan to move this camera?
Hold on. Bear with me.
The cameras have not been installed, poles. I guess that one pole that's on Lanesburg Road that's in, I guess, the right location, that camera can be installed immediately. The other two cameras on 38th Avenue, they have to get permits and get everything rolling for that. So that might be a while. It might be March before those can go up and be live.
Hold on. I don't remember the commission authorizing that. I remember it being discussed, and they had said that they believed it could go up there based on XYZ. This was at the work session last month. Commission didn't approve that. So let's before we start again, before we start spending money again, and it costing the town money for something that we may not want or may not have placed in a correct placement, then we need to make sure that we review that, because I would like to see the traffic study, because I don't see how I just don't believe, just off the top of my head, that you're already getting enough red speeders beyond 12 miles over what the current speed is. So I like to see that. So I yield back.
Well, I actually wasn't finished speaking before the chief spoke. So, and you're right, the commission has to agree on these. So the areas that in determining where the areas, I suggest, based upon what is the guidance we've been given by council, that will be 40th Place and Bladensburg Road, north on 30th Avenue and south on 38th Avenue. Now, the commission, at some point, we can have cameras installed in the future. But as a starting point, these sites comport with what the requirements are for the placement of cameras.
This is Commissioner Young. I don't have anything to say about Bladensburg Road, but based on my experience, seeing the speed of cars on 38, I think we really need something on 38 because it's dangerous to cross that road, and they tear into Cottage City from Brentwood. So that's just my observation.
And I can appreciate Commissioner Young's observation, but we utilize statistics here. And so before we start making assumptions and observations and personal, assessments, then we need to go off some statistical data that supports, because otherwise we're just wind up just spending money for something that, that's that we might not be able to pay for at some point in the future. So let's make sure let's not put the cart before the horse and do this. If there was a traffic study done, then I think that all the commissioners need to be sent this traffic study, and so that they can have an opportunity to review it. And then at that point, consider if this is something they want to move forward with, and then understand what the associated cost with this program and the equipment. So I yield back.
Commissioner Young, just off the top of my mind, now this may not, I've only been a commissioner for about 4 years now, almost. Most of our accidents are on Bladensburg Road. I know 38th Avenue is like a concern, and we're definitely, we've looked at other options to kind of control the speed there. But I know that Bladensburg Road is the kind of avenue or corridor that, has the most incidents.
I guess I thought that that step had already been discussed a fair amount about 38 and probably Bladensburg. So I guess I'm surprised that you're raising it at this point, Demetrius, but I don't know what other people's recollections are.
No, because you raised it. So the commission didn't discuss.
Well, I've been raising 38 for years and years.
Exactly. So that's the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm making is you're actually the only one who raised it, and that's fine. I have no problem with it. You have a deep concern about that. And then the chief had indicated there was going to be a traffic study done. But what I'm saying is that this is not settled within the commission, because I've yet to see any traffic study in regards to see the numbers based on the current speed and its conditions. You have an opinion, and I know that you're adamant about getting this, but you know what? We operate off of a commission-based system here. So we're going to make sure we're not going to put the cart before the horse. We're going to get this study, and then we'll make an assessment, and the commission will jointly make that decision together. So
could I ask the chief? I thought that that there had been some cameras or measuring devices put up at one point, at least on 38. And I thought that you or the police, whoever was before you, had been involved in this for some years. Maybe I'm assuming too much.
So what you have,
Chief?
No,
he can't. Hold on, before you speak to a chief, because you weren't here when the other chief was here, so I can speak to all of that.
well, I want to speak about what I was seeing here. So,
Okay, well, let me give you some context, some history, because you weren't here. You can't speak about what you're not aware of. So previously, Commissioner Young had brought indications about wanting some type of control devices there because of the speed and the speeding that comes along 30th Avenue. State Highway did a study. State Highway did the study, okay? And they said they would not put a stop sign along there because it would impede the current traffic flow as to the traffic lights and so on and so forth. So what we were looking to do, and then at some point we're trying to at the very least, maybe get a flashing stop sign like they have on 38th further up. And I'm not sure where they were at with that, but I know that they would not put a current, just a regular stop sign there. And so, and then I know that she had brought this concern to you as the new chief. So I'll let you go ahead and give your history, chief.
All right. Well, State Highway Administration came out a couple months ago, I guess, yeah, a couple months ago in reference to those issues on 38th Avenue. Prior to them coming out, Red Speed did do a study with the strips out there on 38th and said that the speed has to be reduced to actually be feasible for a camera system to be put out there. So when we spoke to State Highway Administration when they came out 2 months ago, they advised us that because of our crosswalk issues, that is a good possibility, a very good possibility, that get the speed reduced down from 35 to 30, which would keep us in a range that speed camera system will be beneficial. So right now, I'm agreeing with Commissioner Givens that we need to hold off until the speed limit is dropped down to 30, from 35 to 30 by State Highway, which the State Highway Administration engineers told me that he probably can get it done before spring. So I'm just still waiting for him to respond back to the town manager with a date and time, or a rough date they can have that done. Until then, it's probably a waste of money for us to put that speed camera up there until we get it, definitely set in stone that they're going to drop the speed.
And we still would like, so I appreciate the fact that Red Speed did this study, but I haven't seen the study. And so, and I think commissioners, it's always in our best interest to be well educated when we're making decisions based on the town and our risk and liabilities. So if you would provide that study, if they did it, then I'm not sure where it's at. If you could provide that to us, that would be great. And I'm not sure if we would need to do an additional study after that, closer to whenever it gets done, because I don't know if it's going to be done a year from now or 6 months from now. Or, so thank you.
Red Speed did the study, sir. But what happened was they didn't recommend for the speed camera because of the speed was too high there at 35. So that means that person had to do like at least 47 miles per hour for us to even.
Right. That's my point.
So that's why they decided not to do anything on 38th at this moment. But the Red Speed said that once they drop the speed, they will go ahead and resurvey that area again.
Okay. All right. And then we'll see that survey.
Right.
Then we'll see that. All right. Thank you.
Correct.
Cool.
Chief
All right, cool.
Ayers, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So last year we ordered a speed camera system, and we were told that we paid like $36,000 or something for some new speed signs that were supposed to monitor the traffic within Cottage City and give you feedback. It was supposed to be a system that gave you feedback so that you could see what the traffic within Cottage City was like. Can you use that system to kind of develop your own internal statistic to kind of report to that?
No, I rather use a Red Speed strip, because the strips are more accurate than the other system that we have. Ours are good for like side streets, but for that curvature of 38th Avenue, you'd probably be better off having road strips there to get an accurate count. So, yeah. But Red Speed won't charge us for that. So whenever we want that done, they can do it for us for free.
I agree that we should definitely have them do the report also, but it might be good for us to look at it as well. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about it, but if we have the equipment and if there's something that we can monitor, why not go ahead and, apply our efforts to kind of seeing what we have and compare it to what they have?
Yes, ma'am. Like I said, 38th is a curvature roadway. To get an accurate speed, you want to have strips. But like I said, we will try and do it that way for you.
I have a question. This is Commissioner Young. We've been talking about this. I think the Red Speed guy has been to probably 2 meetings so far. And this question hasn't been raised about whether they should be doing this. So I'm surprised that it's being raised at this point. and not earlier when before the things got put up, the setups for the cameras.
Once again, they did do the studies for 38th and Bladensburg Road. They came back to us and said that 38th, once again, because of 35 miles per hour, it's not feasible to put speed cameras up there at the time. Once we spoke
Right, that's going to happen later, but
right,
still, they went ahead and put up the
right, because we told them go
thing.
forward with Bladensburg Road, which they went ahead and did their studies, got their permits, that legally permits from State Highway Administration, and put them up. They got the permits correctly. But like I said, right now, because the issue that the town attorney brought up, we are backing off, moving it to a different location. But the
Well,
permits,
for one of them, but one of them I think was still going to be okay. I mean, I still, since we've been talking about this for several meetings, I just assumed that we had voted on it at some point. So I'm surprised at this being raised now.
no,
Just,
we voted on moving forward with red speed on Bladensburg Road, and we gave them the okay to go ahead and start doing the permitting process, which they did. And when they did the permitting process, they selected the location where it would be feasible for the camera system. The problem was that our town attorney believes that these locations were outside of the parameter of the law. That's why they're
right,
being,
but that's a different issue than what Demetrius is raising.
no, everything is done properly in reference to 38th Avenue. The problem is when they came back to us, they said 38th is not feasible at this time because of the speed camera. So we focus it on.
Right, but
I don't understand the
Chief
problem.
Demetrius is saying that we never did any studies with regard
Yes, we
to
did.
any of
Yes,
them.
we did. Yes, we did.
Well,
study.
then that's what you need to address.
Yes, we did
terms of
studies on
what-
38th, but when it came back with the studies on 38th, they said 38th doesn't meet the criteria at the time. So why bring that to the commission when we couldn't do 38th, which we did explain to you at the meeting about Bladensburg Road. We said 38th can't be done right now. We're doing Bladensburg Road. We did mention that.
Has the study been
So you're
shared
saying-
with the commission?
The studies were not shared with the commission because the studies showed that it was not feasible. So there was no need to send that to the
For
commission.
38,
Excuse me?
it was not feasible for 38 at this time.
Exactly.
But are you saying that the study was done with respect to Bladensburg Road?
Yes, Bladensburg Road was done and 38th was done. If you want a copy of it,
Okay, so
Well,
when was the
this is-
Bladensburg Road one done? Because that's what I think Demetrius is raising a
the
question
same
about.
time the 38th was done, almost a year and a half, or like a half a year ago.
Does that address your concerns, Demetrius?
He's talking about.
I'm not the one that's confused. I think you're confused. And I think you're confused. And maybe we should talk about this offline so we can make sure that you get some clarity on it, because we're just kind of, we're not getting anywhere right now because nothing's going to be done on 38th right now. So I think we should move on. And I think
Right,
that
on
we can take
38,
time to
but what
explain it
about
to you.
Bladensburg?
Yeah, we're
What
going to
about
move forward on
Bladensburg?
Bladensburg. We're moving forward on Bladensburg. We're moving the location of the camera that was further down by the gas station and moving it up
Okay,
closer to the Spartan Apartments, as we had the concern over Kevin's best concern. And so that was to kind of
Okay.
satisfy that.
Well, let me say that I never received any notice of any studies on Bladensburg Road. Had I in the past been given that notice, I would have raised the issue perhaps earlier about the exactitude necessary for locating the speed cameras on Bladensburg Road. I wasn't aware of any red speed traffic studies along Bladensburg Road. I yield.
Chief, can you just make sure that everyone gets a copy of whatever studies that have been done?
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
we can move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. Fiscal year 23-24 budget meeting dates. So these are the proposed
so we're
dates.
just, could I just clarify? So we're putting off the letter until after we get further information?
I don't think the letter has anything in there about 38th Street.
Yeah, the letter is just saying the parameters and from the perspective of our council and the moving of that one camera.
on Bladensburg. So if that's still an active issue, then we need to vote on that, right?
The letter.
Right.
Yeah, let me add, I spoke with Ivan Lanier, who represents as a consultant Red Speed couple days ago, and he was asking for this letter on behalf of his client. And I said it was still pending before you all. And this letter only has within its scope the 2 sites on Bladensburg Road. So if you're good with it, yes, I do encourage you to approve it, have it signed and sent to Red Speed so that Ivan will stop calling me.
Does anyone have any objections to us sending this letter?
I do not.
Not me.
No objections from me.
Commissioner Armache, did you say you didn't have any objections? I didn't hear your voice.
No, I have no objections.
All right, so we'll sign off on this letter. Can we move on to the next item, please?
Okay. Okay, the budget hearing dates. I think I've sent you this by email and I made a correction. And I did consult with Todd about the dates.
I have a question.
Sure.
I noticed that some of these are on the same date as our work sessions, but instead of putting the other ones on the same date as our town meetings, they are put on the following week. And I was just wondering why they weren't scheduled for the same day as the town meetings.
Because I didn't, and I don't know what the past practice has been, and maybe you can enlighten me, because, you can have the budget hearings, but you got to take care of that, but you still also have to take care of town business. So I didn't want to assume that you would want to do one and the same. So I can change.
We're doing that with the work. I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Well, we're combining some of the meetings with the work sessions, but we're not combining them with the town meetings, is my question. Why combine them with the work sessions, but not the town meetings? Just to avoid having more meetings.
Because the work sessions usually require official action by the commission, and may often be longer. I mean, I can put it on with the town hall meetings. That's, I guess it's just a matter of preference and what the commission wants.
Commissioner Young, these are proposed dates. These dates are not set in stone. So if you want to make a
I
change,
understand.
you can make a change now. These are just some dates to get us started.
Right, and I'm just
So if you're
raising one.
suggesting, are you suggesting that we move the meetings to the town meeting, the budget meetings to the town meeting?
Right. For example, in January, the Public Works is on the same date as the work session, but the police and grant budget meeting is on a separate day from the town meeting, and if we combined it with the town meeting, that would require fewer meetings. And then I think there's a similar situation with let's see, the revenue part of it is scheduled for February 21st. And if we move that to the same date as the town meeting, it would require fewer meetings. That's my only point. If other people don't want to do that, then, I'm fine with whatever the majority wants to do.
Me personally, I don't mind having additional meetings. I just don't want to be sitting in long meetings. So if we're gonna do the budget and do regular town business on the same day, that for me is a long day.
Okay,
And
well then,
I work from 9 to 5, and then I have to come into a town meeting and a budget meeting. That's a long day for me. I can't speak for other people, but for me, that's a lot.
it's not critical for me. I understand what you're saying.
And I,
It's just a suggestion.
and I did take that into consideration. And I also did look at the dates that were used last year, just to reflect that and how they were spaced out.
Okay, well, let's just take a poll. How many people would prefer to do the budget meetings on the same day as the town meeting? Or would you rather have separate meetings?
This is Commissioner Yuri. I think maybe, I'm okay with either, but maybe separate because the meetings can get very long on town hall, meeting nights.
Commissioner Givens, I agree. We cannot do it on a town meeting night at all because they're already going far past where they need to be. So that wouldn't work for the town, the monthly town meeting.
I'll go along with the majority. That's fine with me.
How do we feel about having the budget meetings during the work sessions? Those meetings tend to be a little shorter. Lately, anyway, they haven't been as long as the regular town meeting, which really, to me, it should be the opposite. The work session should be longer. Because by the time we get to the town meeting, we should know what we're doing. That's the whole point of us discussing the work session, but whatever. So, what about doing them during the work session? Or you think
I
that's
agree. I think that I actually didn't think it went bad last year, but if the staff has an issue with it, then I think we should respect what the staff has to do. And the reason why is because years past, the commission went line by line over everything. Now, what they pretty much do is they present the budget and says, okay, review it. Do you have any issue? Okay, well, let's talk about what your issues are. And then we kind of get through those and we don't have to go specifically line by line and wasting a lot of time as we did in the past. So, but I would, I'd refer back to the staff to determine what they feel like is best. Thank you.
Do other commissioners agree with Commissioner Givens? We'll just let the staff figure out the dates.
The problem is it's hard to predict whether or not the work session, how long it's going to be. I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to piggybacking with those. And I guess we could keep in mind, but if we're talking about like 3 months in a row, I don't know. And the other thing is, well, I agree with what you said. I just don't want to do like super long meeting. For me to be available, my only stipulation is it cannot be on Thursday nights because I have a standing gig. So if we're not doing it on the night of a work session or a town hall meeting, then they can't be on Thursdays.
Good to know.
Yeah,
On that note, would it
you're right. We can't predict the work sessions. Sometimes they are short and sometimes they are long. I'm in favor with doing separate meetings because the budget meetings will probably be short.
To follow up on what Artis said, I do have a standing meeting on Tuesday, the third Tuesday nights. So if we could change those from Tuesday to Wednesday, for example, that would be helpful to me.
So,
Okay.
Carol, you want to go back and look at the calendar and give some more dates?
Yeah, so, and I heard Commissioner Armish and Commissioner Young be Thursday and then Tuesday. So no meeting on Tuesday or Thursday.
And
Well, the third
actually,
Tuesday is.
I think maybe going for Wednesdays in general might be the best bet because I also have a course that if it fills, which I hope it will will make me unavailable on Monday nights as well for during these months.
No, Monday.
So Wednesdays sound good.
Okay. Alrighty, I'll update it to reflect what you all have shared.
And since we're doing it on a meeting night, it doesn't have to be as late as 7. You probably can schedule them like at 6.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, let's move on. Code enforcement officer, termination of joint code enforcement agreement. So we did discuss this last week in the work session. I think we pretty much except for Commissioner Givens, who went on record to say that he felt like we should still share this position with Comar Manor. But I think the other commissioners that were present during the work session agreed that we probably should look into our move towards having our own code enforcement officer who is solely assigned to our town versus sharing the position with another municipality. So I think, Carol, you said you would present something to us tonight.
Regarding what?
Regarding us having a full-time code enforcement officer. That was in the minutes.
I'm sorry, was it about the salaries and all of that?
Yes,
Because I thought I shared that at the last meeting, no? Because I did, because I got the numbers from Todd. Hold on, let me pull that up.
I think you told us, but in order for us to take the vote, we need to say it in the meeting.
Oh, okay,
Need it
one
on
moment,
record.
I apologize.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Apologize. One moment.
Yeah, remember we talked about this, we need the salary and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the okay? So isn't the hourly salary going to be the same? And because when we do what's the names that we do it by the hour. They're not salaried employees; they're hourly employees. He's an hourly. That person would be an hourly employee. So that's what you need to make sure that you enter into what we agree upon. We don't agree upon a yearly annual salary unless, like I said, a management position. So.
Oh,
What is the current hourly salary we pay them now?
I didn't know it was hourly, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
have the
absolutely.
total expenses. I have
Oh,
that.
No. So the chief would know because the chief advocated for them to get paid the same as the officer, the incoming officer, I believe. That's not, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, chief?
I believe so, sir. From last time we did it, it was like 56, I believe. But I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah. You can't approve by a yearly salary. You have to approve by an hour.
But we had the yearly salary that we can actually do the math real quick and get the hourly rate.
It's 2080. You divide by 2080.
Yes.
The annual salary is 50.
How much is it?
50,000. I get $26 an hour.
There it
That sound
is.
right? I even have the employee file and it doesn't even indicate the hourly rate.
No, you can't, okay, so you can't go, Carol, you can't go by the yearly salary because they may work overtime. And
I
so,
understand. I just
okay.
pulled the file and even his
Okay.
file doesn't have the hourly rate.
Yeah, when we hired them, it was stipulated, that's how it's broken down. It's based on, the hourly and a full-time at full-time sharing with Comer Manor and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that's why I say in his file, that should be somewhere and it's not.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So,
Carol, the document that you had on the screen, that's the document for us to send to Comer Manor saying that we're ending.
well, you all have to decide that you want to terminate the joint code enforcement agreement. And then you have to give them 60 days notice. That's what the agreement stipulates.
Commissioner Yuri, may I ask?
Yes.
So based on the work session last week, you all decided to end with Comer Manor, the agreement with Comer Manor, because of inconsistent. What was the reason given?
Well, there were several reasons. I know I had brought up the fact that we've had at least 3 code officers leave, and most of them have left in less than a year. I know they probably did leave. The main reason probably was because of more money, but also that I think it's kind of hard for someone to go from one municipality such as ours that's looking for compliance, and then you have to switch gears and go to another municipality who's looking for enforcement. And our codes do not align, so they're constantly changing gears. So I think that's a little strain on anyone. I don't care how good of a code officer they may be. That's a strain on anyone asking them to keep changing hats constantly. That's a lot to me. I think it was a stressful position. There were some other reasons that was brought up, but that was the one that I had brought up. I know I think Commissioner Armache may have mentioned something, but I can't remember what she had said.
Is Comer Manor fulfilling their financial obligations with, Cottage City?
Well, yes and no. I believe they fulfill it when they receive the invoice. But if they're not receiving the invoice, then you can't blame them for not sending in the payment.
Okay.
So it's on us. It's our responsibility because the code officer is under our payroll system. So it's our obligation and our responsibility to invoice Comer Manor monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not doing that, we can't point the finger at them and say, hey, you guys haven't been paying us when we haven't been sending you an invoice.
Have we not been sending them at the appropriate times?
Yes and no.
Yeah,
Sometimes, yeah, if you want to take that one, Carol, because
well, I was going to talk about it in my update, but I'll talk about it now. So it just recently came to my attention that a number of invoices going back to 2021 had not been sent to Comer Manor. And I sent this to the commission, so I'm pulling the email I sent you all earlier on the screen. So there was, for June of 2021, an invoice was not generated, because how the process goes are the CPA generates the invoice and sends it to Brittany, the office manager. Brittany then emails the invoice to Comer Manor. Okay, so what happened for May, in June, July, no, May and June of 2021, invoices were not generated. Okay, that was the fiscal year FY 2021. So for fiscal year FY 2022, invoices were not generated from July 1 through 1/31, but we had a period where we didn't have a code enforcement officer for November and December. So November, December makes sense that there were no invoices generated. Okay, so around that time was when you all had the later part of the year, you all had a treasurer whose tenure was very short. And then you hired the current firm. So they kind of had to get up to speed to see what was done and what wasn't done. So in January of this year, that's what they did. And they sent an email to the office manager saying, alerting her to the fact that there were some invoices that were still outstanding. And that email was sent in January, but the office manager states she never received it. So recently, the CPA followed up and said, look, we still have these invoices outstanding. I've only now learned of the situation. So right now, of the total invoices, about $24,030 is what's needed from Colmar Manor because invoices were not generated. There was also an invoice from April of this year that was generated, but our office manager failed to send it to Colmar Manor. Colmar Manor, I've spoken to their treasurer, who has stated that obviously he was not elated to say, you know, you have all of these outstanding invoices, and states that he has to go to his counsel and ask for supplemental appropriation before they can be paid. And he asked for a detailed backup for these invoices. And I've asked for a detailed breakdown for the one invoice from July 1 to 1/31 that totaled $17,000. So, and he said once he receives that information, he will present it to the council when they meet again in January.
Just for some context, Danielle, I'm not sure if you are aware, but why we're going through this process is because the current code enforcement submitted his resignation. And so they were looking at, how do we move forward? Do we move forward going with them again? And they said they were okay with going with us again, or they can do it by themselves if we didn't want to go do a joint thing again. But I would like to say, I'm appalled. I mean, there seems to be this like, okay, well, it happened or whatever. And we can sit here and blame, an accountant for what they were supposed to do. But, this is why we have policy. We have people in effect who know about these programs and know what's going on. So I don't understand why office manager didn't, I can't even blame Carol because you weren't here. You don't know anything about it. You weren't here when we started this program. So you're not aware of the what's happening, which again, I think also solidifies why we need a standard SOP, right? So then if Carol were to come in, she could read up on it. If she, like when she came in, she would be able to read up on it. And then she would be able to, hey, are we doing this? And so then she can take the what's the name and be responsible moving forward. But we definitely can't hold her responsible, ask her to be responsible for this failure. And we can, you can't even necessarily do it for the accountant because the office manager knows they've been here. But even if the office manager wasn't here, if you had an SOP, we have a standard, a working standard. So I yield back, and I'm still appalled. Thank you.
I just
Commissioner,
wanted to add one thing.
Okay. Okay, wait, please. I want to answer Commissioner Yuri's question because I did leave something out. Another thing that we discussed at the work session in regards to going to a full-time code enforcement officer in Cottage City is that in addition to doing code enforcement, they would do other duties to help the police department. So I can't remember exactly what the duties are going to be, but they
I can
won't.
share.
Oh, you have that information?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
you all recently adopted a new policy to have a higher tax rate for vacant developed properties. Therefore, we will need to have an inventory and keep track of it and develop a system because we have to report that to the county. Also, we need to, which we really don't have, is a keep track of our rental properties. And so those are things that just have not been done, that need to be done. And because I asked for them when I came and I was just like the list of the rental properties, are our businesses in compliance? Because for example, we had one business apply for the business relief program that we're giving away the ARPA money. But when we asked to them to prove that they're in good standing, they no longer had an interest.
But let me ask, why are we doing the rental properties? We don't do rental licenses here. So why would that be a part of their, I understood it to be like some more involvement with community outreach or community thing with the chief, outreach to
Right.
the residents. But why were we talking about the rental properties? Why would
This is
we do
why.
that?
This is why you have properties that are being rented where people are living in basements.
Mhm.
Okay, and and there's no ingress or egress to get in and out of it. Should we, as a town, we should be aware of how many rental properties we have, just a matter of just knowing the makeup, the demographics of our town.
Well, I don't necessarily have
There are
a
a couple
problem with that.
other, there are a couple other
you-
little things. If I could
you-
just add a couple other little things.
Well, just let
Um,
me follow up with let me finish her thought. In regards to that, I have no problem with us knowing about the inventory. I mean, knowing about the rental property. You should be able to get that from the county. If we have people that are not getting rental licenses, I think that's when you inform them they need to get a rental license from the county. I don't want us to get involved in the whole rental licensing process because it continues to expose the town's risk and liability. The education in regards to it, the interaction with persons and could be unsafe, depends on how these tenants necessarily act and stuff like that. Let that be continue to, and you don't even get that much money from it, and so I think we should continue to let that be the county's issue. And if we have people that are not in compliance with the rental thing, then you inform the county so that they can get them up to so they can get in compliance with it. I have no problem with you knowing, but I think that
Right.
that recorded data should come from the county. The county has that.
I think this is something
Sometimes
that
they
we
don't.
need to put on the agenda for the future. We don't need to work this out right now. I just wanted to add a couple of other things that we discussed before. We discussed having the new code enforcement officer help out in the police department and also in public work on little things that they could do to free up the officers, for example, to go out on patrol more. In addition, I wanted to point out that you just moved it off the screen, but the amounts that were
sorry.
listed that were due from Comar Manor, actually, I think that $17,000 amount, or maybe even an earlier one, when we did not have a code enforcement officer, that would lower that amount because obviously they
Correct.
wouldn't owe us anything for that period of time.
Correct.
So, the details on what they would do is something that can be worked out, but definitely they can probably help out in the police department and the public works department. And so that's why we thought about, one of the reasons we thought about having a full-time code enforcement officer, in addition to the reasons that Chair Wheatley listed.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So a couple of things for me. So when it comes to kind of relinquishing it, I guess that relationship with Calmer Manor, I know that like before we had an issue with payments, and that was one of the reasons that, you know, we were considering kind of going our separate way. But if it's not that situation right now, I don't know that it's the best financial decision to kind of, you know, part ways with Calmer Manor at the moment. So I may have to kind of agree with Commissioner Givens on that. If they're fulfilling their responsibility financially, it looks like we're kind of the issue here. And Carol, can I ask you, or may I ask you a question? So since you've been working here, you've been issuing the invoices every month, but you came across the information that, you know, I guess from the previous kind of administration, they hadn't been sent out. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And you kind of like found some old emails basically that said that, you know, the previous, I guess, administrator there kind of maybe neglected to kind of send it out or whatever the case is, and you're kind of trying to rectify it now, basically.
Well, I don't know that the previous town manager was aware of it,
No.
because I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Okay.
It's an office manager function. And
Okay.
and that's what she's not explaining to you. And she said it, but it needs to be reiterated. It's an office manager function. You know, the accountant sends it to the invoice to the office manager
Yeah.
sends it to Calmer Manor. Now, what should
Yeah.
have happened was when they were not receiving an invoice, it should have triggered the office manager to say, hey, we have a code enforcement. We need to make sure that we're getting paid. That's where responsibility has to take place, right? That's
Yeah.
where we have the best interest of the town. Like, we have a
I
code
thought
enforcement
that we're
officer.
just hearing about this, honestly.
No, I know you. I'm not talking about you. I'm just kind
Yeah.
of
It was an interaction between several people, so I don't think we need to, you know, tease out all the details. It was an interaction between several people, and when people left, that left it in a somewhat confused state.
Okay.
So
Okay.
No, that's a cop out. That's a cop out. But I yield back, and I'll let
I
you
don't
talk
think
about
so.
it later. Yeah, absolutely. No accountability with you.
Well, we're looking into it now. I mean, for me, and I'll just say this, I'll just reiterate, for me, if Calmer Manor is fulfilling their financial responsibility, I think that we should still continue the relationship with Calmer Manor. I think, you know, the code enforcement officer, you know, has a bit of free time from what I've seen, you know, that they can kind of manage the responsibility. I know that there are sometimes complaints on both, but when the officer comes and, you know, he agrees to the job description, he knows that he's working with two different towns and they have, you know, different ways of doing things. He's coming from a town, you know, or the officer was coming from a different, you know, municipality that does things differently. So there's going to be an adjustment there. I don't think that should be too much, but, you know, I'm just one vote, so.
do we need to vote on anything on this, or can we move on from it?
We're gonna have to take a vote because we gotta let Calmer Manor know what we're doing.
Well, then let's take a
I
vote.
just want to say something in regards to what's been said, especially I want to respond to Commissioner Uri. It's a good idea in theory. It's not working in practice. If it worked, we wouldn't keep going through code officers. We've had 3 and
Right.
they don't stay more than a year. Next thing you know, they're gone.
Right.
I think it's a good idea, but it's just not working. It's two different. Cottage City and Calmer Manor is totally different. We're looking for compliance. We're
agree.
looking for enforcement.
And that you've had that complaint from various code enforcement officers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's vote on it.
Okay, so first of all, let's figure out what we're voting. Well, do we have the dollar amount, the hourly amount is $26? Is that
That's
correct?
what I calculate based upon the 50,000. There, it's not even indicated in his file what the hourly rate is, so.
Okay, well, we're gonna go with $26 an hour for now. If we need to make a change, we can. But yes, the vote would be, or the motion would be to sever our joint agreement with Colmar Manor for the position of the code enforcement officer, and to go into a full-time code enforcement officer for the town of Cottage City at an hourly rate of $26. That would be the motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Young made the motion. I'll make the second. This is Commissioner Wheatley. We can call for the
Can you
vote.
please, sorry, could you please restate the motion?
The motion is to end our joint agreement with the town of Colmar Manor for the
Thank you.
position of code enforcement officer, and for us to hire a full-time code enforcement officer for the town of Cottage City at an hourly rate of $26 per hour.
Thank you.
Okay. So the motion was made again by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Wheatley. All in favor, please say aye.
Young,
Aye.
aye.
Wheatley, aye. I heard a
Givens,
third
nay.
aye.
That was Amar
Givens,
Sheikh.
nay.
Aye.
Okay, let me get through the yays first. So that was Young, Armache, and
Yes.
Wheatley said yay. All in those in against say nay.
Givens, nay.
Any abstentions?
Commissioner
Commissioner-
Yuri, did you vote?
Commissioner Yuri, are you naying, abstaining?
I'm
you-
sorry, my microphone was off. Commissioner Urine.
Okay, so that's 2 nays, 3 yays. Motion passes 3-2. We're moving on to the
I
next.
have a
item.
question. Can you clarify, did the current code enforcement officer resign?
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
All right, thank you.
And you also need to read that into the record and accept his resignation as indicated for the
I
date.
concur.
I think that's on the agenda somewhere.
No, it isn't. I wasn't aware I had to do that, so. But I can
I
pull
thought
it up.
I thought I had saw that on the agenda.
Mhm. Hold on.
Richardson,
Yes.
this last day is tomorrow. It's for you, on to the record.
Oh, you know what? This is termination of the agreement. I thought it was termination of the position. Sorry. I mean, termination of the Mr. Redding.
Well, and I don't know what day he notified us, but yes, his last day is tomorrow. He resigned.
I think it was. it's been
So
like 2 weeks.
here's how it goes. You should say that we received a letter of resignation from Mr. Such and such for the position of code enforcement. You know, effective his resignation. He's indicated he's resigning on December, whatever. And then at that point, the commission has to accept that, you know, or deny that, because if you're in some part of discipline, then you could deny it and continue forward with every discipline. That's why you have to accept or deny their resignation.
Thank you. So code enforcement officer Charles Redding has submitted his resignation and effective December 15th, 2022. Do you accept
Commissioner
this
Givens, I make a
resignation?
motion to Commissioner Givens, I make a motion to accept the resignation as read.
Commissioner
Second,
Wheatley,
this is
second.
Young.
Commissioner Yuri, I accept.
I didn't hear that last.
All in favor, just say aye, so we can move on.
Givens, aye.
Young, I.
Marche, aye.
Wheatley, aye. We accept Mr. Redding's resignation.
And one more point of order. I don't know if it makes a difference now, but you should never commingle that other situation with the letter with the new hire. They should be two separate votes, and the reason why is because if you're going down as indicated, what we agreed upon before is to have a resolution. So if we ever had to go back, we could look at these specific resolutions based on X, Y, Z. And if you're commingled, then, we start to commingle stuff, then it kind of gets confusing. So, but I'm not sure if it makes a difference this time, but I think in the future, we should make sure we do those things separately. I yield back. Thank you.
All right, what's next on the agenda?
Okay, so we have and currently have an agreement for our red light cameras, and it's subject to annual amendments up to 7. This will be the last one. So this is basically a renewal of that agreement with Vera Mobility. This contract was originally entered into in 2016. And I think we piggybacked on Howard County. So this is basically to extend for a 1-year period beginning January 1, 2023 and ending December 1, 2023. And all other terms of the agreements will remain in place. And it's similar to what you have done the previous 6 years.
Question, you said it ends December 1st, not the 31st?
31st, I'm sorry, yeah, 31st. So January 1st,
Thank you.
2023, ending December 31st of 2023.
So you need us to vote on that.
Yes,
I move we approve this contract renewal.
There a second? I'll
Givens, I
second.
second.
You can go ahead and second, Commissioner Givens.
Givens, second.
Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Givens, aye.
Young, I.
Marche,
Wheatley, aye. Hearing no nays or abstentions, the motion passes.
so while we're here, let me just explain, we're renewing this and we have to give, according to the terms of this agreement, we have to give them 30 days notice. So I know it was the intention of you all, I now know that you would want Red Speed to take this over. Now, but you have to renew this one. And once you do decide to terminate it, we then will have the issue of any outstanding payments and reconciling that. So understand, renewing this does not prevent the town from terminating this agreement and contracting with Red Speed, but we just got to continue what we have until Red Speed can transition to doing the red light cameras.
What is the stipulation? What are their cancellation policies from that from the current vendor?
We have to give them at least 30 days notice.
Okay, is there any prepayment penalty and like any financial penalties or anything like that?
No.
Because it's for a year, for the rest of the year. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Right, so then, I'm sorry.
So please let me explain that there's 2 agreements involved. There's an MOU with Howard County for use of the RAEC Center. And there's also the agreement with the vendor, which is ATS. And so when it comes time to terminate ATS, it's also time to simultaneously terminate the MOU with Howard County. And they both have 30-day notice requirements.
Thank you. Can we put
Do
that
we have
back
to
on the
do
agenda for
another-
as unfinished business, so that we can continue to track that, monitor that, so we don't let that slip through the cracks?
The
That-
the
yeah,
red-
the
light
red light camera stuff, yeah. So that we can kind of follow up and monitor what's going on for next month.
And also,
everything.
do we need to renew this MOU also?
That's what you all just voted on.
No, no.
I
Oh,
the
no,
MOU
no,
renewed the
no,
contract.
no.
The MOU is it's before you, and it either automatically renews or it's still in term for a while yet. It's the ATS contract that's annual.
We voted to renew the contract. You're saying we don't need to renew the MOU because that is ongoing,
Yes, that's correct.
right? Thanks.
Do you want me to go to the next item?
Yes, please.
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Best.
Okay, this is a franchise agreement with Comcast. It's been a long time in the making because the franchise agreement between Comcast and all the participating municipalities in the county, it ran its course in 2016. And so the parties have been negotiating, as this particular municipality is part of a consortium of all the participating municipalities in the county as well, have negotiated, and they've finally hammered out a franchise agreement. It is very lengthy. It's in your packet. It's approximately 50 pages of substantive contract language and then another 50 pages of exhibits. You have a cable code. You've had it codified in your ordinances or adopted in your ordinance for many years. And that your cable TV ordinances are referenced, and they have a number of different requirements in that code, but they're referenced in the franchise agreement. State law requires that you adopt a franchise agreement with a cable company or any other franchisee by ordinance. And that's the purpose of ordinance 2022-07, to approve this specific franchise agreement that will be in effect for at least 10 years. And if you scroll down and look at the recital, I want to show you the one that's most key. Keep going. Go on down. Stop. The one here that's in the screen before you, the second to the last recital before section 1 is probably the most key recital that explains what has been hammered out between the participating municipalities in the county and the consortium. By the way, INET is part of the consortium. You all get free drops as or connections to Comcast through this franchise agreement. But here are the main features, and you can see them. I don't need to read them to you. They're enumerated 6 different major features that, and quite frankly, to tell you, the county and the municipalities are very happy with this, what has been produced here in terms of a franchise agreement. And the model franchise agreement is still pending, and it's, I'm sorry, the model franchise agreement is what you see in your packet. There'll be a finalized version that might be tweaked slightly once it's released and finally prepared by the consortium. And that will be the actual franchise agreement signed by your signator. the person you authorize to sign, which typically is the chairman of your commission, will sign this agreement. And it'll be good for 10 years. And so one of the questions I want to ask about this, if you could scroll down, and this, if you could scroll down into the substantive part of the, stop right there, please. Go back up, please. Right here. Above the "and be it further ordained and enacted" clause that's in the middle of the page, it says the public hearing set for blank on such blank 20. Did you all conduct your hearing?
No,
All right. So it's not yet ripe. This ordinance is not yet ready to be approved. And I don't believe you have another meeting until January.
correct.
Okay. Well, the guidance we got from the consortium attorneys was the county and the consortium attorneys wanted this ordinance to be approved before the end of the year, so that the franchise would be approved before January 1st. However, I will tell you, to just point blank, it is doubtful that the county, who's one of the consortium members, the county council, will approve their franchise as a member of this consortium until several days into the new year, whenever they have their legislative sessions. So you're probably going to be okay if you can schedule this hearing at your first meeting in January, and so that you can then, once you've had the hearing, then and this hearing is required. Granted, normally you do not have to conduct a public hearing before you approve an ordinance that's to be enacted by the town or the Cottage City Commission. But this is an exception, and it's a function of your cable TV ordinance for this hearing. And it's also good practice to let the public have their say about the franchise agreement and the services provided in the town by Comcast. So you want to have this hearing. You probably can co-locate it with your next workshop session and then approve this ordinance on that day. The earlier the better. So the earlier in January that you can approve this ordinance, the better, to fulfill the desires of the consortium. And what else can I say? Is there any question? I'll say this though right now. There are 2 cable TV companies operating in Cottage City, to my knowledge. In addition to Comcast, there's Verizon, but you already have an approved franchise agreement with them in the past, I believe. And you receive, if you go back up to that recital that talks about the major features about the franchise agreement, you receive a 5% of gross revenues franchise fee annually paid over from Comcast to the town. And in addition to that, a 3% of gross revenues grant from Comcast for PEG, of which about 50% of that money goes to pay for your participation in INET, which is the organization created by all the municipalities in the county to provide the services that your police department and other units of your government uses for information wise from the county. So you get 5% plus 3% of gross revenues. The same occurs with Verizon. So it is a substantial or a significant revenue source. And you also notice you get the use of PEG channels. I do not know much about Cottage City's PEG channels, but you have them, and you're going to be supplied again under this agreement with up to 3 PEG channels for your usage. If you don't use them, they default to the county for its usage. Other than that, I thank you for your patience. It's been a long time coming on this, and the way that the Cable TV Act, the Federal Cable TV Act works, the Cable Act works is that when a franchise expires or lapses, they hold over. And that's what they've been doing. Comcast has been holding over under your previous franchise agreement until this one could be hammered out and entered into, and that's going to happen very soon with your cooperation. I yield.
I have a question. On the agenda, there's a ordinance 2022-07 to renew franchise, and it says first reading.
So that was an error on my part because I wasn't aware that we had to have a public hearing.
Okay, so we can skip that one?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, correct.
all right.
No, actually, you probably want to do the first reader. You won't do the second reader until after the hearing. So I'd go ahead and read the title tonight. You don't have to take a vote. And you don't have to debate it extensively, but I would do the first reader tonight so that you're ready to do the second final reader after the hearing, the first workshop meeting of January.
So do the first reading, even though there's some corrections that need to be made in this document?
Yes, because the way this is read is, the way this reads is well, first of all, you're not adopting anything tonight. You're just doing a first reader. So that allows you to tweak the franchise agreement when we get the update from the consortium.
Okay, can you go back to the top of the page so I can read it, please?
Mhm.
All right, so let me read this. First read of ordinance 2022-07. An ordinance granting renewal of the cable franchise to Comcast of Maryland LLC and authorizing a franchise agreement. Whereas the town of Cottage City is an incorporated municipality governed pursuant to Article XI. Wait a minute, I need to make this bigger because I surely can't see this. Let's see. Okay, let me start that part over. Whereas the town of Cottage City is an incorporated municipality governed pursuant to Article, I guess that's
11E.
Sorry,
11E.
11E of the Constitution of Maryland. And whereas pursuant to LG Article Section 5-202 of said state code, the Cottage City Commissioners have the authority to pass such ordinances as they deem necessary to assure the good government of the municipality, to protect and preserve the municipality's rights, to secure persons and property from danger and destruction, and to promote the health and comfort and convenience of the citizens of the municipality. I think that's enough. So that's your first reader. All right, what's next?
Public Works.
Is Greg gonna give that report?
Yeah, I saw him on the line. Did we lose him?
No, I'm here. Town manager report was first. Did you want to do that?
Oh, was it?
Yes, you're next.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. So, well, I gave part of my report earlier when we were talking about the billing for Colmar Manor. So I've spoken to the treasurer as well as Brittany, and we're setting up a system whereby there will be a set day each month that the invoice is sent to Colmar Manor, and like a checks and balances. And so that if by a certain date it's not sent, you know, there's a problem, so that this won't happen again. And I have also spoken to the treasurer as well in terms of financial matters and keeping me in the loop. I've addressed it before. I've had to address it a second time because I only happened to learn about this, you know, well after the fact. The other topic is just to remind you all that the employee appreciation will be tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and all of the commissioners are invited. So hopefully everyone will be able to make it here, even though there's supposed to be freezing rain in the morning. So, I don't have anything else to report other than that.
I would like to make a mention after the employee party. What time is it? 12?
1.
1. I would personally, it's a holiday season, it's a holiday party. They're not really going to come back and be honest with you, do much of anything. Everybody that's been to a holiday party, everybody knows what it is. I recommend you just let them go home for the remainder of that day. So I'm not sure what the other commissioners would like to do. So that's what I would suggest. I yield back. Thank you.
I'm good with that.
Also, are we gonna give out the gift cards at the holiday party? And how much are we giving out? If we decide to do gift cards?
By the way, I won't be able to make it. I'm still not doing great.
You want us to drop off some food for you?
Pardon?
You want us to drop off a plate for you?
Oh, no, that's okay. That's
Okay.
okay. But one of the things is I can't eat a lot of things, so
Okay.
probably wouldn't do a whole lot of good. But thank you.
So how much did we give last year, Commissioner Wheeler? Do you remember?
I want to say it was $75, but I know that after paying for the catered meal tomorrow, we'll have about $1,000 left over from that budget line item.
So with that, based on what we have in regards to the number of employees, which I believe is 13 or 14, then I
Actually,
think
it's gonna be 15 because we are
15?
including Mr. Hill and Joseph
Yeah.
Mayo.
okay. And so I think we should probably just do $75, and then if it goes over, it just it just goes over, not as much.
Well, I did the calculation, $65 would keep us under the 1,000. If we do 75, it's gonna take us over about $50.
I don't have any problem going over $50. There's enough
don't
money left
either.
over in that department.
So are we in agreement, $75 gift cards to the 15 employees? Our staff?
I am.
I heard from Commissioner Armache, I believe, Young and Givens.
It's fine.
Commissioner, you agree? Okay, so $75 is fine with me as well. So
Commissioner Wheeler, did we go ahead and release the funds and for the ARPA money to the employees this month?
I believe it was was it on the last paycheck that they got, Carol?
Yes, it was on the last paycheck.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so, Greg, are you ready to do your are there any other questions for the town manager before we go to Public Works? Hearing none. Greg, are you ready to give your report?
Yes. So first I want to say that we had our dumpster day, dumpster weekend really, for the town, and we also had our shred event during that weekend. Dumpster day, we only got 2 dumpsters, and we filled one of them up. The other one was about 3/4 of the way full. It was a little bit more room in there, but we've still been staying with 2 dumpsters for that reason. We only been filling up 2 or getting close to filling up 2. So we did pretty good on that. As far as the shred event, we only had about 4 participants. that came to do some shredding. I think one of them may have came twice. So my recommendation for the shred event probably would be to reach out to some other towns and maybe try to collaborate with them to do a shred event. The vendor that we used, it was only $750 for from 11 to 2. Yeah, 11 to 2. It was $750. So the price wasn't too bad, but we just didn't get enough participation from our residents because it was only advertised to our residents. It wasn't advertised to anybody else. So that's just my recommendation for the shred event. The people that did come, they were grateful to have it because they had documents that they wanted to shred and needed to shred. They were grateful for it. They was asking, if that's something that we're going to do every year, especially one resident, because they just moved in town. So I told them that, put it up to the commission. They may do it again. I'm not sure if it'll be here or if it'll be somewhere else, but, they were looking to, have it again at least once a year. So I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of insight on the shred event. We did receive our 33 trees from Clear Ridge Nursery. We went and picked them up. American Landscaping has planted them the week that Wednesday. They finished the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So all 33 of them have been planted. As far as projects that are ongoing, of course, leaf season, we'll be doing leaf season until January. The installation of the mini split, we're hoping to be able to install that next week with Commissioner Givens. If he has some time next week, we'll be able to knock that out. The bench in front of Yang's, we already got the bench assembled, just need to put it in. So we're going to be working on that. Today we was going to be working on it today, but we had to get the spreader and the plows and stuff on the truck because we do have some, I guess, winter mix that's supposed to be coming later tonight. So we had to push that off and get the truck ready for tonight. But the bench is ready to go. We just need to go and frame it out and pour the concrete, and then we can put the bench in. As far as the storm tonight, I will be taking the truck home tonight, and I will be on watch for the storm tonight to see what it does, if it does anything, and then we'll come out. I did get a call about 6:15-ish from Hyattsville that their loader is down and they will not be selling any salt. But we do have a agreement with State Highway, so we can get salt from State Highway. And I did just recently put in the MOU with not MOU, the truck information for College Park, because we get salt from College Park. So we're good with College Park and with State Highway to get salt, as well as we got a load of salt down in Brentwood. When we offload salt from last year, we offloaded it down there in their bay. And we do have a load of salt there. Plus we got about 3 trash cans up here full of salt that we're going to put in the truck for tonight's event. So Hyattsville is our main place that we go, but we do have other resources to be able to go to for salt. So we should be good with salt. And that's pretty much it. Oh, the mini split. If you see on that portion for the mini split about the electric installation for that, you guys do not have those proposals tonight because all of them haven't come in. And we needed to get the three proposals for you guys to approve, and they have not all come in. So that's the reason why they're not on the agenda tonight. Any questions?
Thank you, Greg. No question.
Madam Chair, it's in your hands.
Thank you for your report. Let's see what's next. Chief, you ready to give your report?
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank Commissioner Givens and Commissioner Amashay for helping us out for this past weekend's event. The Children's Winter Festival was a success. We had several kids and their parents came out to pictures with Santa. They enjoyed some treats, music by the Commissioner Givens, as well as arts and crafts by Commissioner Amashay. We do have some toys left over. We're going to try to give out a few on Christmas Day by the officer on duty, and the rest going to be put away for next year's event. Also, we did help out with the feeding the seniors for the seniors dinner last month. It was very successful. A lot of people enjoyed the meal. We got a lot of accolades from the food that was given to us. Well, actually, we purchased from Carolina Kitchen. We were able to give out a few to some of the people that were shut in. They were delivered by Mr. Joe Mayo. He took them out to the families over there at the towers, and I think 1 or 2 people inside the town that wanted their food delivered. So he did that for us. In reference to our calls for service, our calls for service were pretty mild this month. We went down a little bit in reference to our calls for service. We did looking at some ways to actually address some of the issues we have in reference to our suicide attempts. We had 2 inside town. We're trying to work with some of the schools in reference to trying to find out ways to help out some of our teenagers going through some of this mental crisis they're going through that want to take their lives right now. It's not just happening in our town, it's happening all over the county. Young adults as well as teenagers are very depressed right now, and we're trying to find ways to actually help them and assist them with this. We also looking into trying to get other types of equipment to address this. We spoke to the commission at the work session in reference to the bowler wrap. Hopefully we can actually go into trying to approve that. I see it wasn't on the agenda this week, but maybe next month we can put on the agenda for a vote to see if we can actually purchase the bowler wrap. I think it'd be an excellent tool for us to have, so we don't harm individuals that are going through these crises, that we can actually detain them and take them in for treatment, and also keep our officers safe in the meantime when we're doing these, I guess, these services and taking them into the hospital and get them evaluated. Also, we're looking into trying to get kits for our schools. As you know, this is a 10-year anniversary for the shooting over at Sandy Hooks Elementary School. And we're trying to see if we can protect our students in our schools by trying to find some kind of way to have these trauma kits in each classroom in our feeder schools. We did present this to our Chiefs Association meeting. A lot of chiefs are coming on board to go back and talk to their accountants in reference to trying to partner with other agencies to actually, put these in the schools. I know for a fact that we're just waiting for Mount Rainier as well as Riverdale Park to actually talk to their commission to see if they're ready to partner with us to put them in our 2 feeder schools. Bladensburg already took care of Bladensburg High School, and they already took care of Roger Heights. But I believe that next year, our students, or the year after, our students be going over to Hyattsville Elementary School as well as Wentworth. So we're trying to outfit those 2 schools. In reference to
Chief, our kids aren't going to Hyattsville. They're going, if they go anywhere, they're going to Mount Rainier.
Mount Rainier, I'm sorry. I keep on saying Hyattsville, Mount Rainier. That's why we talked to Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier, apologize for that. Also, we trying to finish our compliance requirements for the state. Last thing we have to do to be in compliance is get a record keeping process in reference to our investigations on officers' misconduct, as well as training records keeping. I did present to the town manager my recommendations of what kind of program or software we would need to actually be in compliance. At the next work session, we'll be discussing this as well as other options. So we can go ahead and move forward and purchase the software so we be in compliance. Other than that, we're in compliance for everything else. Our training is completed for this year. We have sent in everything to Sykesville, response back for okay to move forward for next year training. Any questions for the commission? That's all I have.
Yeah, I got some questions for you, Chief. I saw somewhere that we're doing a toy drive. Is that correct? I don't know if I saw it on Constant Contact or I saw it in the newsletter.
No, we
I mean,
asked.
not a
for-
toy drive, I mean a coat drive.
Yes, the coat drive. We do that every year. We're trying to receive coats so we can give out to our homeless as well as some of the students that are going to school without coats.
What's the age group? Because I got a coat, I got some coats I want to donate, but I don't know the age. Is
We're
that-
taking all age groups.
Okay. And you're doing socks and coats and what else?
Socks, shoes, gloves. We're not doing shoes, I'm sorry. Socks, gloves, and hats also.
Okay. And it's just for children, right?
No, for adults also. We
Oh,
help.
you're doing adults too?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
all ages.
And where are we dropping it off? At the town hall?
The town hall, yes, ma'am.
And when's the last day?
I think it's January 31st, I believe.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the chief?
Yes, Chief Ayers. I noticed on your police report that there were a couple of break-ins and it looked like stolen cars, I think. Could you speak to that a little bit? Chief Ayers?
Yes, ma'am. Break-ins. I believe that was a vacant unit, ma'am. I think that was a breaking in. Those were vacants that were broken into.
Okay, okay.
And the other one, and we already, the person that broke into, we did arrest him. He was a homeless guy and he was arrested for that. And the reason why it was 2 times because he broke in the same house twice. County came out and took the report and the owner did not secure the door. And so the guy was gone when they first came and they came back again the next day and he broke in again. So that's why it's 2, but it's the same location now.
Okay. And
in reference to the theft from auto, that's a little bit further down. I'm not familiar with that. It was just one theft from auto, I guess. No, I don't see any theft for auto, man. Oh, yes.
okay, it came
Yeah, I'm
through
sorry,
on the,
one theft from auto, but I wasn't aware of that one. Theft for auto.
does that need to be updated or so?
No, it's one theft from auto, but like I said, I'm not familiar with what that case was all about.
Okay, if you have any
I can look into
information
that for you.
afterward, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I'll look it up for you.
There are no more questions for the chief. We'll move on to commissioners' reports. Ward 1, Commissioner Young. Anything you want to report tonight?
I don't really have a report for tonight, but happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
same to
you.
you.
Ward 2, Commissioner Armache, anything to report?
Just that we've been trying to come up with a date to do a sip and paint, and we're gonna look to January for that. And I enjoyed painting with the kids this weekend, and thanks to everybody. And happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. I have a couple of things I want to report out. So for me, I ran into Delegate Fennell today, and she's doing, along with Senator Augustine and Delegates Ivy and Traveris, they're doing a toy drive on Thursday, December 22nd over at the Brentwood Firehouse. So if you want to drop off any toys, they're accepting toys between 4 and 5 p.m. If you want to, or if you know of anyone who may need some toys for their children, the toy pickup is from 6 to 9 p.m. And again, that's at the Brentwood Firehouse on December 22nd. And I have a flyer. If anyone wants the flyer, I can send it to you. I also want to thank the chief, the officers, explorers, all the volunteers for the senior dinner. As the chief said, it was a great event. Everyone enjoyed it. The food was delicious, and I enjoy doing it. And it's one of the things that I really take a lot of joy and pride in doing, giving back to our seniors. And then I just wanted to say that the county executives, also Brooks Gala that Commissioner Amashe and myself attended last week was really nice. It was a well-attended event. We had a great time. I think Commissioner Amashe, you can say that we really enjoyed ourselves. And I'm glad that you guys approved us to go because it was really nice. It was really good to see the other municipalities, port towns really represented. We had a whole table to ourselves. It was a lot of fun, and it was just nice to get out and do something other than just talking politics all the time. And that's it. And happy holidays, everyone. Ward 4 Commissioner Givens, you want to report anything out?
I don't have anything to report out. I would just ask that I mentioned it before, and I'm not sure if it slipped someone's mind, but if we can get the website back on track, it's if you go to I'll explain it to Carol later, but basically the community events are not there. And so I'll talk to Carol about it. But yeah, we definitely need to make sure that we got a lot of new people moving in town. And we go to that, it does look blank in that regard. But for the actual activities, but I yield back. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner at Large.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up with Mr. Pickney. I see that that huge pothole on 38th Avenue is still there. So I wanted to know like what's going on with the State Highway Administration is generally pretty quick with their response time. So what is the status of that, I guess?
I can answer that real quick. We met with State Highway Administration 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and they're going to put down a cement slab there. That's his recommendation, the engineer's recommendation to State Highway, and he's supposed to put that request in. If it's up to the town manager, she wants me to, I can follow up with that tomorrow and call up there and see if he puts that request in or if she wants to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question in regards to that. Is it, and maybe Kevin could probably answer this better, because it is a huge pothole. She's right. I actually ran over it and ran down to town hall to report it. And is it a problem if we just put a couple of bags of asphalt, what's the name in there, Kevin, until they change it? It's asphalt filler. It's for potholes and stuff like that. Is that an issue?
Yes, the state of repair or disrepair of a municipal street is a big issue because under case law in Maryland, you do not enjoy governmental immunity for the maintenance or lack of maintenance of a municipal street. So yeah, you want to take some precaution to fill the pothole, whether it would be with hot mix or a temporary patch. And of course, you always want to mark and put up barriers for anything that is a danger to the public that you learn about. If it's something you don't know about, you have a defense. But if you know about the danger, you got to take action and warn the public. I yield.
With that said, I know it's raining tomorrow, Public Works, Greg, but is it possible you can grab 2 or 3 bags of pot mix from Home Depot or Lowe's and just fill that as best you can, roll over it with the truck for weight and let it settle down until they can come out and put and change the slab?
Yeah, the one that she's talking about is actually across the street. That one was done. They did some work right there, and the patch that they put in didn't hold up. But my question to Mr. Best would be, this isn't a town street. This is a state highway street. Am I still able to do it?
Plus, I think you'd need to notify the state highway people if you did it.
Yeah, you really should not try to self-maintain a state highway. I'm sorry I missed that from your discussion earlier, but no, you shouldn't take the initiative because that'll open you up for liability. Unfortunately, your duty is to report that to the jurisdiction for which the roadway falls under, which in this case, it's not the county, it's the state. You certainly want to report it, but you should not be marking the obstacle and you should not be patching it or fixing it yourself.
Thank you. I
Okay.
didn't realize that. Okay, thank
So
you.
I'll reach out to them again, Commissioner Yuri. I did reach out to them about it, and they may be confusing it with the portion that the Commissioner Givens is talking about by the bus stop. So I'll reach out to them again and see how fast we can get somebody out here, because it is a danger.
Thank you so much.
Okay, is that it for you, Commissioner Yuri?
I have one more question. Ms. Richardson, I don't know if how formally we've discussed this, but we are generally accustomed, or since I've been a commissioner, to having like an annual report. Is that something that you're preparing, I guess, for January or so?
Well, this is the first that's been mentioned to me, so.
Yeah, that's relatively that's relatively new too. That came about 1 or 2 years ago. But again, if we all had SOPs, which I keep telling everybody, this is why we need these types of things, that would be one of the things that would be included in there. So I don't think she has any responsibility to know that prior to, unless she's been briefed. So I yield back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, before we go into closed session, Carol, I did want to ask you a question. We had talked about, or had mentioned, changing the title from chairman to chair in the charter.
Mhm.
Where are we with that?
That, I'm sorry, that has been drafted and it will be on, we will be taking that up in January.
Okay,
But it has already been drafted.
okay, I just don't want us to forget it,
Yeah.
because I
If we're going to do all of that, which I have no problem with, I know that it's a thing for some people. We shouldn't do it alone. We should be commingling that with something else, because this costs the town quite a bit of money. Every time we go and make charter amendments, anytime we make amendments to the charter, it costs the town quite a bit of money. So we don't want to just do it for one thing. We want to do it for a couple of things, I would imagine, especially so that we can make sure that we're getting the best, our money's best spent. Thank you.
I know we did the one for the recess in August, and we're doing the one for, I know we're doing a car for the commissioner's compensation. And I thought this one was added in with those, but it doesn't sound like that it was, because you said it's still being drafted.
It has been drafted, so I may have been remiss not to put it in with those.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I know I've been talking about it even before this gender neutral stuff came up. I've never liked the word chairman. I just don't like it for me personally. But yeah, I think we need to do it. And I know we discussed it, and I believe there was a consensus to just make that change.
correct.
I agree, we need to do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it'll be done in January.
No, no one's saying we don't need to do it. You're not understanding does you have an issue with us doing it singular or doing it in conjunction with other amendments that we need to make? That's the issue that I'm.
No, I
discussing.
don't
Yeah.
have an issue with that. I was saying I thought it was being done that way.
Let me address that issue raised by Commissioner Givens. He's basically advocating that you try to combine as many charter amendments that you feel necessary into one charter amendment resolution to save money. Isn't that right, Mr. Chairman, or Mr.
Yeah,
Commissioner Givens?
yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
the problem with that is the one subject rule, which basically says you can't have multiple subjects either in a state statute or a municipal charter. In other words, you have to separate them and do multiple charter amendments, because the public policy for that is that the courts feel that it would confuse the public if you mix up too many charter amendments or statutory amendments of different subjects. So they have to comply with the one subject rule, which is actually incorporated in the Constitution of Maryland as well. And the courts have basically incorporated that against the municipalities in terms of their charter. So you can do comprehensive charter changes. Let's say if you did a comprehensive charter change to change your form of government, and it resulted in multiple sections of your charter being changed. But otherwise, you do have to comport with the one subject rule, and it does force you to expend money that you might not otherwise have to if you could consolidate your charter amendments.
No, that's not what I'm talking. I'm not
Okay.
talking about the actual physical amendment. I'm actually speaking of the requirement that requires us to post this stuff in the paper. So that's what costs the towns quite a bit of money. It's because you're going to have to write the amendment regardless. So whoever writes the amendment, whether it be you, that's a financial burden that we're going to have to absorb regardless. But as far as the absorbed amount to keep putting it in the paper is what my issue is, where a lot of money comes to as well. So that's the part I'm talking about. So I'm not sure if you have to have do you have to have a separate one and for each Wesleyan for the paper? Is that what you're telling me too? Or is it
You have to have a separate fair summary for each and every charter amendment resolution. What if you put 5 of them in one newspaper publication?
Okay.
Or 5
I got
separate
you.
publications of the newspaper, it's still going to have the same cost.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's what I was trying to. Okay. All right. Then we don't save any money. Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, so before we go into a closed session, are there any public comments at this time? And I had asked earlier, but maybe someone would like to ask a question. Let's see. No, hearing no public comments, we do need to go into a closed session. It's 9:24 p.m. So let me just read the statement giving us the authority to go into closed session. So let me get that up. So the Cottage City Commission, in accordance with the Maryland Open Meetings Act, State Government Article, Section 10-508. Under this authority, we will be discussing the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. Is there a motion at 9:25 to go into a closed session at this time?
So moved.
Madam Chair, we need some more information about what the purpose is of the closure.
We will be discussing a personnel matter dealing with performance. And any other discussion will be in regards to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I believe I heard a motion from Commissioner Armache. Is there a second? This is Commissioner Wheatley.
Second.
I'll make a second. I got it, Ann. So
Thank you.
the closed session has been made by Commissioner Armache and seconded by Commissioner Wheatley. All in favor, please say aye.
Young, I.
Yuri,
Givens, aye.
Wheatley, aye. Hearing no nays or abstention, the motion passes. We are now in closed session. At this time, it's 9:27 p.m. Let's see, we need,
Can you kick Town Hall off?
Yeah, Wanda, you're the host now. I've made you the host.
okay. Thank you.
Kick the Town Hall off for me, please.
Let's
So
see.
I can't do it
Mr.
anymore.
Best, will you be able to join us or not?
If you'd like, I'll stay on.
I think we might need you on this one. Let's see.
Bye.
Okay, that was. So who just left?
I think that was Carol.
Okay. All right, who's still on?
I'm
Fort-
on twice. That mine is my phone is also on there because I couldn't combine them this time successfully.
Okay, okay, I'm the host. I'm gonna pause this recording.
And has good holidays, and I'm going to try to send an email to all the employees. The same to all of you as well.
yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make it either, but if I can't, then, have a good time for me.
All right, artist, were you able to bring the town hall back in?
It looks like it's gone.
Oh,
Doesn't
wow.
look like it's still there.
Maybe you can only keep them in waiting for so long, huh?
Yeah. Let me just double check one more thing. Yeah, it looks like the waiting room is gone.
Okay, well, we
No,
tried.
I think Weston probably took it offline, not realizing that we needed to come back on online. Greg.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we tried, so we just have to move on. All right, it is 10:37 p.m. We are back in open session. We went into a closed session to discuss personnel issues. One was under dealing with disciplinary actions. Another one was just trying to get clarity or some kind of status or update, which we were not able to do because we needed to get more information from the department head. So those in attendance for the closed session were the 5 commissioners and the town attorney, Kevin Best. And we went into closed session under Article 10-508A, which again is the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. We did not take a vote on anything. We did come to a consensus on how we will move forward. Let's see, if there's nothing else, Mr. Best, I think I can ask for a motion to adjourn.
Did you state the purpose again? I'm sorry, I was writing something down.
The
Did you state
purpose,
the purpose for the closed session?
yes, the purpose was to discuss personnel matters. The first one was to discuss disciplinary actions of a person, of an employee of Cottage City. The second was to just bring information to the commission in regards to a recent personnel or recent complaint. And that no disciplinary action was taken regarding the second one. It was just information purposes, and we will follow up with that department head.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, hearing nothing else, it is now 10:39. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, that's right.
I believe that was Commissioner Givens who made the motion. Is there a second?
I second
Um,
Yuri.
Okay, I think that was Commissioner Yuri made the second. All in favor, please say aye.
Givens, aye.
Young, I.
Yuri, aye.
O'Shea, aye.
Wheatley, aye. There are no nays or abstentions. We are now adjourned. Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
holidays to everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry
night.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye now.
Y'all all take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Birthday.